right, so we are here with a fertility testimony. We have Chelsea here, and Chelsea went through the fully functional program. We worked together for 3 months. She walked through the three-pillar approach for optimized fertility, and she reached out recently to let me know that she is expecting. So congratulations, Chelsea. Just so happy for you.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just kind of get your overview of your trying to conceive journey with us.
We first started trying in the summer of 2019. And at this point, I knew nothing about timing, ovulation, cervical fluid. And I remember I was using my Fitbit app to track. So everything was completely wrong. We stopped for a couple months in 2019 just because we were like, is it the right time? And then we started again in March 2020. And then that's when I finally started using LH strips. I also got some tests done from my primary doctor. And one thing that really scared me, my FSH levels were comparable to someone in their upper 30s. And I was only 30 years old. They didn't really seem like they were concerned, and they didn't really give me any next steps, or like there was no like follow up really. So I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Then when we kept trying for a while, I thought about asking my primary doctor about fertility questions, but from previous experience asking about like any concerns I've ever had with my health, it usually ended up asking if I wanted some type of prescription. And I knew with fertility, I wanted to take a different route. And so just started looking up things, and that's when I found Olivia and heard about the functional approach.
I love that you really were open to exploring different options, because sometimes, unfortunately, a lot of people don't know that there's different options than just going to their doctor. I mean, right? That's what we're kind of told to do. When you have questions about your health, you go to your doctor. And there's nothing wrong with that. It gave you a great place to start. Yeah. But then, deeper than that, it's oftentimes very helpful to bring someone else on board that is more, understands diet, lifestyle, and interpreting labs and understanding how to dive deeper. So I love that you were just knew that that was something that felt right to you and that you wanted to research and pursue. So that's absolutely fantastic. I think it was on your program review where you said such a great response to like timeline of things. We talked a little bit about, your program ended, and at the end of the program, as much as I wish that I had a magical wand that I could just like poof, now everyone can become pregnant because they went through the 3 months. Like, unfortunately, it doesn't happen that way for a lot of people. Can you tell us a little bit about how you appreciated or learned to appreciate that timeline and understanding your own overview of your trying to conceive journey with us?
I actually remember our last meeting and me just thinking like, oh, I'm still not pregnant. Like I did kind of, have hopes like, oh, maybe I'd be pregnant by now. But I had a lot of optimism that I haven't had before. Like I felt completely lost before this whole program. I was just trying to like guess what I should do and what was best for me. And although I was like, oh, I still don't have a baby yet, I still was really optimistic. Like just do what I've learned, keep using the tools that you've given me, and that worst case scenario, it will only help me. And if I do have to go on medication, if I do have to do IVF, that's the way it's going to happen. I wasn't so anxious anymore and nervous about everything. I was more just confident in the things that I was doing.
I love that. And I'm so happy that that was something that you gathered from the program and something that I strive for everybody to end the program with. So that's wonderful. One of the things we talked a lot about was fueling your fertility with food, with enough food, which was, I think, more than you were eating. Was that correct?
Definitely. So I told you that, I do have a history of restricting, especially in college. If I could go back to my younger self, I would have told her, don't mess, you're screwing up your hormones. Stop treating yourself that way. And I learned that even though I wasn't restricting by the time that I started working with you, I still wasn't eating nearly enough. Like I was not creating a safe place for a baby. I had to add a lot more fats, and that scared me just because of diet culture and just like, but I didn't gain a ton of weight. If anything, my mood improved, my energy improved, actually my anxiety too, I noticed. I was just able to handle life better. More carbs I would have to add. And then things that I previously thought weren't good for me, like soy, was actually something that I discovered through this program that my body needed more of, organic soy, like the phytoestrogenic foods, right?
Yeah.
Add as well. So like lentils and all of that. And although I was eating some of that, I just wasn't eating enough of those things.
Mhm.
So I found it really interesting too that for some women, too much soy can be a problem, but for me, I needed more of it. And yeah, and just like eating more fats was like one of the hardest things for me at first, but now like I can use olive oil and not like I'm happy about doing that. Like before I was so like cautious about, and it just sounds so stupid now just thinking back on that. Also through the program, I've gained a lot of food freedom that I
Mm.
haven't had in the past. So that's awesome.
Incredible. Yeah, I love that. And it is, you touched on this too, like everyone's needs are so different, right? And it's really hard when we're reading and we're searching and we're trying to find the answers for ourselves and we read other people's stories, but it's still not our own story. So figuring out the own story for us is super important. And I love that you started on that. And now do you feel like those tools that you learned also are helping you now where you're at, just in understanding what's best for you now?
Yep. Yep. Every, just the macro trio, although I was always kind of aware of those things. I just like my meals are just so much more balanced. And then I also don't get so anxious. Yesterday when I had a bagel at my staff meeting, like before, like that would really worry me because like in my head, I remember like things like, Jillian Michaels that,
Mm-hmm.
her saying like a bagel's the worst thing you can possibly eat. I just had those things in my head. And now it's like, hey, you had some protein this morning and now you're having some carbs, big deal. I can move
Yep.
on. And I just feel so much healthier doing so.
I love that. Love it. Absolutely. And I hope that just continues to serve you and be a benefit and really also in your future family too. I mean, right now we can pass those things on and help our children and really just have healthier relationships with food overall. So it really does impact where we are and also where we want to be. Now we touched on a lot of awesome things that we worked on in your program. I want people, because I think this is still a topic that people don't quite yet understand the benefit of when we're diving into digestion. So when I talk about digestion in the program, people think, oh, I don't need to worry about that. I don't have any gut issues. My gut, I don't feel stomach aches or bloated or things like that. Tell us of like your takeaway on the digestive work we did and specifically the HCL challenge. So that's something that we do for those of you who aren't familiar. We're really optimizing our digestive power so we can absorb nutrients better. So yeah, Chelsea, give us in your own words, like what was that like for you diving into digestion and the work we did there?
That really, really surprised me because I've always taken a probiotic and I've always ate pretty healthy, but apparently my gut really needed some work from doing the HCL challenge. I got up to like way past where you were supposed to go. And so that told me that I needed to work on my gut work a little bit more. So just like adding fermented foods and bone broth into my diet really helped. I'm feeling pretty good. And I'm still like every day I have fermented foods. And so I'm doing those things to like keep supporting it and hopefully it will naturally get better along the way. But that really, really surprised me because I had no idea. Like I thought, oh, my gut's probably fine, and doing most of the things that I feel like would support it. But I think from environmental factors and prescriptions that I used to be on, I could see how that could hurt it.
Sure. Our gut takes a hit every day. I mean, even when we are doing all the right things, there's things we can't control. The air we breathe, the even medications we may have to go on or whatever it may be. There's lots of things that can affect our gut. And we just need to dive in there and see, what's going on and how do we need to optimize that. And you mentioned too, you felt better adding more fats in because it helped your anxiety. And this is something, yes, healthy fats are the backbone of our hormones, but also our digestion, our immune system is really basically found in our gut. And our gut is responsible for creating our feel good hormones that our brain uses to decrease things like anxiety and other mood issues. So if our gut isn't really, up to speed, then we can feel those effects and even things like our mood. So I love that whole picture. You kind of mentioned a lot of things there that really touch on a lot of aspects of taking a functional approach to one's fertility. So that's very, very cool. My last question is I always love to ask people before we even begin together what their goal is taking a functional fertility approach. And of course, yes, our goal is ultimately to have a healthy pregnancy. But I loved your initial goal here, and I want to read it. So Chelsea wrote in her initial intake paperwork that her goal was to feel like I don't have to worry about what is best for me and my body, mentally and physically anymore. My goal is to get rid of anxiety and constant questioning. I've been on a long personal journey of wellness and acceptance, and although I've figured out a lot of things on my own so far, I know that I can feel better, even better than this. I'm so excited to have answers to my questions. The best part in helping myself is knowing that I could end up with the best gift of all, a child. So the approach that you had coming in, Chelsea, was just, I mean, one that I hope that everyone can adopt and even just try to take on themselves, is investing in your own health. You know that your health equals your fertility equals your future. And so you knew that investing and taking an approach in your health was ultimately going to make you feel the best. And ideally and hopefully, yes, we want to create space to carry a baby, and you've done that. So how does it feel to kind of see that journey come to fruition now at the end of your initial trying to conceive journey?
Honestly, when I reread this yesterday, it just like brought some tears too. Like I just feel so free now. I'm no longer like taking random supplements, trying to like guess what's best for me. I'm not worrying about food constantly. I just feel so good. Even if I didn't have a pregnancy out of this, it helped my entire life, my well-being, everything.
Incredible. Well, thank you so much, Chelsea, for taking some time and just sharing your journey. I know it's going to inspire others. So we so appreciate your time, and we wish you the best of luck going forward, and hope you continue to feel well throughout your pregnancy.
Thank you.